Hey, Curtis, what do you get if you marry Doc Hollywood, The Wonder Years, and M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening?
What do you get, Oz?
You get this week's movie, You, Me, and the Christmas Trees. Hey, listeners, welcome back to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks. I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
And I'm Curtis.
And we're back to start theme number 2. We're going to kick off this month with Hallmark-esque Christmas movies. And our first week, we're covering, I didn't even look up the details of who directed it because it really doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all.
We're covering 2021's You, Me, and the Christmas Trees, starring Winnie Cooper herself, Danica McKellar, some hunky guy, and that's
very
about
hunky.
it.
Very hunky. He's hunky.
Yeah, I have him in my notes as hunky guy for quite a bit because they don't think they said his name till like 15 minutes into the movie, but
doesn't matter. He's
it
hunky
really
guy.
doesn't matter. So, yeah, a little intro to our characters. Really, we've got 2 main characters, and I think as an introduction to Hallmark-esque Christmas movies for myself, this is probably pretty standard. We've got a main male and a main female, and they come some wacky hijinks to bring themselves together. I'm going to guess they probably don't get along at first, but then they overcome those hurdles to fall in love before Christmas. I think if we just cut this intro and place this in front of any movie we watch for the rest of this month, it'll probably fit, but we'll find out. So our characters in this movie, we have Olivia, played, like I said, by Danica McKellar. She is a tree scientist.
An arborist.
Yeah, she's an arborist, and she loves her trees. She's loved them her whole life. We kick off the movie.
She identifies more with trees than with people.
She absolutely does, and we find out that a little bit more as to why. But yeah, and then so we meet her right away, like as a child. She's playing in the woods, talking to the trees, no friends in sight, not really hanging out with her parents, just she's a tree lover at heart. Then we cut to our other main character, Jack. Jack, believe it or not, runs a tree farm, and his trees
What are the odds?
His trees are sick. So this seems like a perfect pairing for our main leads.
You would think.
Yeah, and so it's a beautiful setup. We have a man with a problem and a woman who can solve it, which honestly, I kind of like that setup. It's very, as the kids say, it's very woke.
When I think Hallmark movies, I think woke.
I do. I think they are ahead of the curve in social aspects and their social commentary.
Such commentary
right.
to this. You come away a more fulfilled person.
we spent a whole month discussing John Carpenter and his social commentary from the 80s, and I feel nobody has a better thumb on the pulse of America today than Hallmark. This movie actually came out in October, and so it's fun. And so this movie was fast.
Yeah, it did go fast.
It was fast.
It was quick pacing. I could barely keep up.
Hour and 24-minute runtime. I was sitting there next to Jenny last night. We were watching it together, and I've got laptop on my lap as I'm trying to catch up. I can't keep up. Scene. I'm like, oh,
it's a lot of dialogue, a lot of establishing, and I my notes for this were longer than for the last couple Carpenter movies.
Oh, mine too. Yeah. Mine too. So yeah, my first note is, man, this movie moves fast. So we kick
just
off,
like this romance.
So we find out really early on, Olivia has a ton of degrees in agriculture and forestry. She
is one smart cookie.
She loves trees so much, she's going to be their primary care physician. So
yes, yeah,
right.
She should have like a stethoscope around her neck, and like a thing
made of vines.
Yes, yeah.
It's like weeping willow, and she's just but she's all yeah. She's their primary care physician, and we find out as we are introduced to her. She's got a lab that apparently is just a room off the edge of a apartment or hotel lobby. It's a very well decorated place. So yeah, we jump right into hunky guy. His name is Jack. Jack is a hunky guy.
So hunky.
He's very hunky. Jack owns a booming Christmas tree farm.
Yeah, he does.
Booming, like
100 years. Been around 100 years, Oz.
Did you know that? Because I don't.
I knew that.
Did they mention that at all?
They mentioned it once or twice.
Right.
Once or twice they mentioned it.
I don't know. I know I have it in my notes at least 4 times. Curtis, did you know that this tree farm is 100 years old? It's a multi-generational tree farm.
100 years. It's been there for a long time.
Yeah,
100 years.
Jack's not 100 years old. This is a multi-generational tree farm.
So hunky.
So, yeah, he has a booming Christmas tree farm, and we're like from open to close every day, people are just flooding his Christmas tree farm, and he just sells them. You know, there was one gentleman at the beginning, because Jack finds out he's selling sick trees and he doesn't know why. He should probably call a tree doctor. Anyway, so Jack here, he has a customer that's so loyal that he pays Jack even if he doesn't get a tree from him. He trusts.
That's the reputation that Connor's Tree Farm has.
The Connor Tree Farm reputation. Yep. They saved Christmas in Avon. By the way, we're located in Avon, Connecticut. Connecticut. So then we immediately jump back to Olivia, whose parents want her to come home. And I can't kid. All right, so full disclosure. I'm recording this podcast video on a Canon 5D Mark IV shooting in 4K. Yet the quality of my high definition camera is nowhere near the quality of Olivia and her mother's tablet and phone and laptop. The camera battery, or the cameras on laptops and devices in the northeastern part of the country are just impeccable. Just beautiful camera work.
Everybody shoots in 8K.
Everybody. And so
everybody who's anybody shoots in 8K.
Right.
You know that. This is Connecticut.
We better be careful. We don't want to lose our Connecticut listeners.
I know. We got a big Connecticut following.
I don't know. Possibly. So the Brazilians are laughing at our Connecticut jokes right now. So
they love it.
Olivia's parents want her to come home. That's it. They want her to come home. And Olivia, being a full-grown woman with plenty of college experience, still reacts to every situation with people like she's a preteen. It was comical. I'm like, you're woman, make your decision. Like, it's you. You could do what you want to do.
But Mom says that she's always been more comfortable around plants than people.
Olivia is literally laying on her bed on her elbows, her feet kicked up behind her like she's getting ready for senior pictures.
Mom and Dad are getting ready for the Marina Christmas Eve Gala.
Oh,
it's the gala.
Right.
Everyone who's anyone in Connecticut goes to the Marina Christmas Eve Gala.
I bet they do. So I bet the Bluths will be there. Why wouldn't they be there?
I think they hold Mother Boy there.
Mother Boy is held up there. I couldn't think of the name of it, but I knew you'd help me out there. So immediately cut back to, because that's what this movie is full of. It's full of set pieces where we just jump back and forth. Every person in the scene has seen the script for 5 minutes prior to shooting. Memorize your lines quickly. We'll shoot. Jump scene. Being a made-for-TV movie, I mean, there's commercial breaks built in to the movie, which is fine. But it's comical just because there's no transition to another room even. We're in one established location. We're going to have our lines. We're going to record them on video, and then we're going to jump to another location.
That's how romance works, Oz. Romance doesn't have time for cut scenes or establishing shots.
That's true. You make a valid point. But yeah, our leads haven't even met each other yet, because cut back to Hunky Guy, who's talking to his mother, reminding his mother that the Christmas tree farm is 100 years old, and this is a tree business, and the whole community is talking about the sick trees at Connor's Tree Farm. Like,
it's the talk of Avon.
Right. Mom comes back in from somewhere, and so-and-so's talking about the tree. So, you know, if you've watched this, or you're going to watch this, by the way, we're going to spoil this. If you have, I'm sorry, we need to lead with that. But if you haven't watched this already and you can't pick up the fact that these are our two main characters and their occupations will bring them together, then this is a mystery to you, then, because I found it romantic, and it may be mysterious to some people. So a lot of it too. I don't think any of the actors in this film can carry a scene longer than the scene time that they're given.
It's like a bunch of goldfish.
Yeah, I just see it crumbling apart. Like, if either actor in any scene had more than the lines that they're given, one extra line, I just crumble. I just think it falls apart. But they know what they have. It's very established and cookie cutter-ish, and it works because Hallmark cranks out more movies a year than we do. So, all right. So, hunky guy finally, he realizes my trees are sick. They're healthy when they're in the ground.
Got to do something about this. It's Connors. We've been here for 100 years.
So let's call the nation's leading Christmas tree doctor, the Christmas tree whisperer.
Yes.
Who lives
as she's known.
Who lives 1 hour away, conveniently enough. The nation. Now, he's never even heard of her prior to this. Who? Oh yeah, I'll call it. So you run a 100-year-old Christmas tree farm, and the nation's leading arborist is an hour away, and you never heard of her? You should have her on speed dial.
Well, I mean, Jack's mom does say that, he should raise a family here if only he had time for a family.
That's true, because tending to trees that grow by themselves is a year-long business.
That's what he does. Business, and all he does is Christmas trees.
That's it. Oh, yeah. We find out later that his soil is fertile. Probably not the only fertile soil in this movie.
I see what you did there.
But this soil is fertile. It could grow pumpkins. It could grow year-round. But
shrubs.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think if Olivia were to mention that one more time, she was going to meet Jack's backhand.
You don't broach that topic with Jack.
No.
You don't.
So when Jack calls Olivia Christmas tree doctor, he mentions, of course, hey, I'm a 4th-generation Christmas tree farmer.
In case you hadn't heard.
Right. And, again, because he has sick trees. His trees are sick. He knows he's selling sick trees. And nobody wants to buy any other Christmas tree anywhere else. That's how loyal the citizens of Avon, Connecticut are to Connors Tree Farm. Like, he's got dirt on them all, apparently. Because they're not going to go to Dwayne's.
Oh,
they're not going to Dwayne. Right. Dwayne is played by
Jason Hervey, also of the Wonder Years.
Yes.
Fame. Wonder Years reunion.
And if you don't pick up on who Jason Hervey played in Wonder Years, he played Kevin's older brother, Wayne. So if you know Wayne from the Wonder Years, then you'll know Dwayne from this movie, because they pretty much act the same. So, what are your thoughts on how we meet Dwayne?
Dwayne, I don't like that Dwayne at all.
He seems pretty slimy.
He's a jerk. There's nothing to it. I'm using strong language here. I'm breaking out the 4-letter words. He's a jerk with a capital J.
How long do you think it took Jason Hervey to film his scenes? 2. What 2 scenes? I think there's 2 scenes in the movie.
He was in 2 scenes. I'm pretty sure he was on set for 1 day.
Yeah, at most.
He had a total of about 90 seconds of screen time. He's the villain.
Yes. Oh, he's the villain. But there's not room for villain in a romance.
No,
and there's no love triangle here. This is straight.
No.
The only thing getting in the way of these two falling in love is
the commercial
nothing.
breaks.
Yes, commercial breaks. You're right. Is the fact that we got to fill an hour and 24-minute movie. We've got
you have to cut to a commercial with her looking at him off to the side, going going.
We've got a Christmas tree farmer, a Christmas tree doctor. They're both single. They're both attractive. They're both an hour away from each other. What's going to stand in their way? I know they don't know who they are until they run into each other, because Olivia she doesn't know how to drive, and she can't figure out the roundabout in Avon. And so Jack runs into her.
How dare he?
He rear ends her. He bumps into her, and you know what? It basically totaled her car.
It did.
Yeah. She is shut down.
Yep.
She's in Avon for at least overnight because the parts can't come in.
They can't get there that fast.
Right.
The tailpipe fell off. So one of the brackets broke. You can't fix that in one day.
Not in Avon. No. When the only business in Avon is Connor's Christmas Tree Farm.
Yeah, that's it. You got that. You got the inn.
You have the inn, and you have the cider hut.
That's right, the cider mill. Yes.
Yeah, you got the cider mill, and everybody, and these are all like adjacent to each other. So
yeah, they're all.
So we've got
there.
I'm going to tap into my rom-com back in my rom-com knowledge here. We've got a very You've Got Mail scenario where we have Olivia, who doesn't know that the man who just rear-ended her, figuratively, is a Christmas tree farmer. And we've got Jack, who doesn't know the woman he just totaled her car. It's not totaled, folks, but they act like it is. He doesn't know that that's the tree doctor. And they do this beautiful verbal dance around who they actually are. They almost exchange information. They pull it back. They kind of don't get along. It's very You've Got Mail. It's very Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks. Only they're not trying to like take over her bookstore. So they don't know who they're talking to. And then her muffler fell off. I guess she should stay on Avon longer than planned.
She's going to be there a while. That muffler fell off.
And she doesn't do hedges.
No.
Jack made one of 52,000 Christmas tree puns and talking to her about hedging her bets.
Oh, she loved it too.
She looked at him with those saucy eyes. I don't do hedges. That's okay. He doesn't do pumpkins. So you should probably just stay out of each other's business.
Yeah.
So, next, we watch a series, and we'll get into more detail, but we watch a multitude of series of these two actors struggling to be incompatible just so they can fall in love later. That's really what this whole movie is set up as. And I'll pass this off to you here to cover stuff because I've been blabbing here. But it's scene after scene after scene of how these two start this far apart, and then they get this close, and then they get this close. And then, Jack's mom is like, oh, she's pretty. And Jack's friends are like, oh, she's really pretty. She likes hot cocoa. You should probably date her. And then Jack's, I don't have time. All I love is trees. And she's like, I think I might have feelings for him, but he has arms and legs and a voice. And I only love things like
I only like trees.
Right. Just like, she's probably seen Superstar with Mary Kathleen Gallagher so many times that she knows how to have a relationship with a tree and a stop sign and other things. But this is how we have. So neither one of these two understand that human companionship is real. We do find out Olivia was engaged to be married, but he probably was too dynamic. He didn't have ready for it. He didn't have enough of a wooden personality for her. He's probably too lively and spontaneous. So, start us off. We've got, like I said, last time I just let off with they bumped into each other, and what happens next?
Well, they start talking about soil samples. Well, I guess I'm working for you, so I got to do my science thing.
Right.
And Oz, I love how they I love how they depict science in this movie.
There's no room for science.
It's what like a third grader would think science is. Like I have to take samples and then I pour them into beakers. And then
but if I sit behind a microscope, everybody knows that I'm a scientist, right?
I'm doing science things.
And if I awkwardly hold a test tube of mud, people know I'm a scientist, right?
The results from every test she does, it takes hours to get the results.
With her mobile lab. She brought her mobile lab. So,
which was her briefcase.
Yeah, I've got it.
She's a scientist. She doesn't bring clothes anywhere. She just brings her mobile lab.
Matter of fact, there's so many times in this movie where like they almost embrace, and then something happens that tricks her back into science mind. And I'll tap on some of this later. So, guess what? The town of Avon. It's what, a week before Christmas.
Yes.
And if you live in Avon, Connecticut, a week before Christmas, there is nothing but parties.
That's all you do.
Parties. We kick off, you're either at Jack's Christmas tree farm or you're at a party. So we kick off with the town's Christmas celebration party. All right?
Yeah, they have this cocoa event at the inn.
Oh my gosh, it's to die for.
The cocoa event. Everybody's there. It's the cocoa event. You gotta test the cocoa.
Right. And Jack, he's so silly. He drinks his cocoa and he gets whipped cream on his face.
He gets out of, and she's like, "You gonna do something about that?" And he's like, "What?" And she's like, that. And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, the whipped cream on the nose and the mustache." And he's like, "Oh, this."
because we're adult actors, but we're playing preteen roles. So, but
it's adorable. Adorable.
And cutscene. We don't have time to establish anything. We've got a commercial. So, next morning, Olivia heads to the farm, and there's this witty repartee with just, I've got a tree pun, I've got a tree pun, I've got a tree pun, I've got a tree pun. And I'm just like, you guys should just leave this alone. Oh, wait, there's another tree pun. Just tree puns all over the place. And then, end scene. But, so Olivia, who's there to do her job.
Yes.
I will give her every ounce of credit she deserves. This woman is in Avon, Connecticut to help these trees. She
likes doing her job, Oz.
She is there to do her job. And I think Jack wouldn't have had near the issue that he had getting this Christmas tree farm back up and running if he would have just let this woman do her job. So, hey, I'm going to come check out the trees. Hey, can we have this witty banter back and forth? Because I'm really not sure if I like you, but I seem to be related or friends with every other woman in this town, and you're the newbie. So I've got to make a move on you. But I don't know how to make a move, though, because I have to sell my trees. So she checks a tree, right? She wants to check a tree.
Yeah, she checks a tree.
But,
and they know.
But we have to have meaningless holiday cheer first. Right? Mm-hmm. Because now it's time for the cider mill.
We just had the big cocoa event at the inn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, next day, you got to have your cider mill.
Right, yep.
You can't have cocoa without cider the next day.
Yeah. And so we have and it's another party and another competition where we're going to start you with a base cider, and you have to make your own cider based on the things that are at your table. Fine. And even though the whole town is there, Jack and Olivia have their own table together because there's only room for the two of them on screen.
Yeah, despite the fact that there's 40 people in the room.
And so they each have the same cider. They each have the same ingredients on the table. And Jack has won this competition year after year after year.
He knows what he's doing.
So I'm guessing he probably made the same cider that he's made year after year after year. I mean, if you're the winner, why would you change it?
A little bit of this, a pinch of that. There's nothing to it.
But
she says that tasting is chemistry and mixology.
Yeah.
It's science.
Yes.
Science wins out.
Yep, I can do this because it's science. And
it's all about balance.
So what does she do? She breaks off a little bit of the pine tree and sprinkles it into her cider, and then somebody drinks it. So this cider is either these trees are dissolvable in apple cider, or the cider has the same qualities as like poison in a cartoon where you dip the spoon in and stir it, and when you pull the spoon out, it's dissolved. Right? Yep. So, because the people that drink this like pine tree apple cider, it's the most amazing thing they've ever had.
Oh, it's so great.
And you know why?
Why, Oz?
It's because Olivia has a complex palate.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about it. They talk about this.
And Jack's creation.
Oh my gosh!
Not up to snuff. Oh, yeah. It's awful. Yeah. It's awful.
Toilet water.
It's awful. Oh, Jack, this is so bad.
Jack, did you poop in your apple cider?
Well, he might have.
This is when Jack reminds everybody that his farm is multi-generational. In case you didn't know, if you haven't heard it in this period between commercial breaks, he reminds us that it's been a long time. And Olivia's arrival in Avon has now, it's hit number one in conversation topics in Avon. It has overtaken Jack's sick Christmas trees, which just to me says Avon doesn't get a lot of visitors. If her showing up to do a job has taken over the conversation in town, like incredibly so. And so this poor woman just wants to do her job. So it's time to drink some more. Mm-hmm. Right? I do love, though, I made a note in here that, like, watching Olivia make her cider stuff, she just went all like Walter White with her mixology. I was expecting her to, like, load up in an RV and drive out into the Connecticut desert. But she did. She was all like, Jack, leave me alone. I'm trying to get this here. Mm-hmm. So
science for the win.
Yeah, and luckily though, this cider mixer was only 8 minutes long. So everybody stop by, quick cider break, hit the road. We got things to do. So
tasted them all, boom, boom, boom.
So what are your thoughts on their attraction to each other at this point?
I mean, there's clearly chemistry there, no pun intended. But it comes back. She's a scientist, and he's in it for the trees, and the whole town's depending on him. And I still think they're still pretty opposite of each other. They haven't come together yet. But I mean, she's been in town for about 24 hours, and I'm pretty sure, with the exception of when she was sleeping, they've spent every minute of that together,
not letting her do her job.
Correct.
Jack is so worried about the future of his Christmas tree farm that he's going to keep his tree's primary care physician from tending to the issue. I haven't seen opposites attract this well since like when Paula Abdul and that cat were dancing in that video.
Oh yeah, that was chemistry right there.
Yeah, I haven't seen it opposites attract that well since then. So, so Jack loses to Olivia. She shows off this quick little dance move. Do you remember what she called her cider? That her winning cider, the best cider ever.
I don't remember.
Evergreen.
What did she call it as?
Evergreen. She called it Evergreen. It's cute because
it's adorable
because she's the Christmas tree whisperer, and it's an evergreen tree. So that's her secret. I put in some dead tree, some of your dead Christmas trees, Jack. So
outside, I know we've mentioned him already, but this is our first appearance of Dwayne. So we meet Dwayne. They're leaving the cider contest. And he walks up, all like 4'11" of him. He walks up with a terrible hair dye job. Jason Hervey.
Yes.
Oh my, that was a bad hair dye job. I was expecting like Giuliani-esque, like hair dye, like oil just to come pouring down his face at Eddie.
Yeah, running. It's normal.
But he's a jerk.
No, it's established. Yeah.
Oh, and she picks up on it right away.
Oh, she sniffs it out. Well, she knows him. It's her ex-boyfriend's older brother.
Exactly.
I think the engagement that broke off was actually to Kevin 6 months ago, and so she's finally moved on.
I was waiting for Daniel Stern voiceover at any time in this.
How does Avon support 2 Christmas tree farms?
They've got a cider. They've got an inn. I mean, you can.
That's true.
Diversify your portfolio there.
Jack only sells to local residents, and people from outside shop at Dwayne's. So he's got this monster tree ready. So when Jack's trees just kick it, he's ready. The mayor's going to come to him, and he's going to get his, like a 35-footer or whatever.
Yeah.
He's
Dwayne's
ready.
Mega Surplus Christmas Tree Emporium.
Did you know that Jack's farm's really old?
It's 100 years, Oz.
Yeah, you mentioned
it's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, you realized that. And so, we have a scene. It's pretty touching. Olivia has realized in her stay in Avon, because she's an intelligent woman. She's a scientist.
She's a scientist.
That she realizes that Christmas should be about tradition.
Her family doesn't do traditions.
Which is, I call bull there, because every year they host these giant parties so that everybody...
But it's about the party. It's not about family.
But isn't it a tradition? I mean, if they're doing it year after year after year, she may not like the tradition, but that doesn't mean it's not a tradition. Like, she knows what to expect at Christmas with her parents. It's going to suck. Mom and Dad are all, they're all dolled up.
The only thing that matters, Oz, is how Christmas looks, how it's perceived by others.
Mom, she has another video chat with Mom, who can't figure out how, we see her holding her phone at arm's length, and then when we cut to actually like Olivia's view of Mom through the screen, no hand in sight. It's amazing. I need to learn that technology.
Well, the way they shot it, Mom is looking directly into the camera.
Absolutely.
And Olivia is holding the phone, and so it's the wider shot of her holding the phone.
Yeah.
But with Mom, it's Mom looking directly into the camera.
Right. She's talking to us.
I felt like she was going to crawl through the TV at one point.
Right. She will in 7 days if you don't watch this movie again.
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, it was. I feel like I need to go to Olivia's parents' house for Christmas this year.
And I got to dress my best.
All right, so yeah, she realizes she's missing out on tradition at Christmas, and she reveals to Jack at this point that she was supposed to get married, but she called it off. Because they just didn't have enough in common.
Yeah, just wasn't there.
I think that's pretty normal, isn't it? That you go ahead and you spend enough time in a relationship with someone to accept their marriage proposal before you realize, oh wait, we don't work. But there's only one person on this planet that's compatible with Olivia. Luckily, it's the man she's talking to. So
and while they're having this discussion, she realizes. Because he sneezes.
Yep, my next note.
He sneezes, and and he says, "Well, I hope I'm not getting sick." The stress of this whole situation. it just makes you more susceptible. And she has a light bulb moment, Oz. You know what she says? She realizes the trees might be getting sick from the stress of getting cut down.
Right.
The emotional wellness of those trees is not being supported.
Do you think there's an underlying story here where the Christmas trees that Jack grows on his farm are an extension of himself? that maybe because he's sneezing and due to the stress, that's what the trees mimic his feeling and emotion and well-being. I think that's.
Are you saying that his tree farm and the wellness of those trees is parallel to his own growth and well-being, Oz?
I think so. I
think
that's what
you're
I'm saying.
saying.
I think in the 100 years of his Christmas tree farm, that's what's happened, is that he, and this is why I believe Olivia can fall in love with him towards the end, because he is the human embodiment of a Christmas tree.
He's a Christmas tree.
He spends all his time in the forest with them. He's
pretty much in a codependent relationship with these trees.
He's as
and I say that jokingly, but I really think if there's something there. He's codependent with these trees.
He talks to the trees as she does. His performance in this movie is almost as wooden as hers. I think there are a lot in common. No, he is hunky though.
He's hunky.
Mm-hmm. He is hunky.
His hunkiness is greater than, not equal to, his performance.
So, so tips are off, and she decides, you know what? I better stay one more night, Jack.
Yeah, I got to see this through. And oh, God forbid that jerk Dwayne wins.
Yeah, and to avoid my family.
Yes. Which he calls her out on, by the way.
Yeah, he does. Mm-hmm. He sees right through her. I don't understand, because her performance is so complex. I don't know how he could have seen through it.
Layers.
So they go out, so they go out at night as we get another snowy film overlay as they cut scenes. It's always snowing immediately in front of the camera. Right? Just long enough. It's not snowing in any acted scenes, but we have an aerial view of Avon and it's snowing. We'll have an aerial view of the Christmas tree farm. It's snowing. Like, if there's no people moving around, it's snowing. So it's now late at night because these trees can't wait. Jack and Olivia are at the farm and they are digging up a tree. They got to dig. We got to check the roots. We got to dig
science.
We got to dig up a root ball. I actually say that. They stop digging up a root bulb for science. So they can they stop doing this because it's so tiring. They better lay down in the snow.
Yeah, that's her favorite thing.
Everything's
perfect.
Because I'm 12 years old and I don't love laying in the snow. I'm glad I'm glad my doctor is not as negligent as she is. If I'm like, oh, I'm sick and I need help. Well, first of all, we gotta hit a couple parties. Mm-hmm. I gotta play. We gotta do some stuff. So they're laying in the snow and they're having this, it's like a taco flavored kisses from my bed scenario. And they just about kiss before Officer 15-year-old shows up.
Officer,
and stops them.
Hot cop.
Right. You can't call him a hot cop. The kid's only 15. It's like,
he was a cute cop. He was a cute little ragamuffin. That
it was a cute outfit that they got at Spirit Halloween to film this scene.
And he calls them out. He asks, "What are you doing?" They said, "Oh, it's scientific research." Oh, is that what it's called these days?
Looks like body chemistry. Oh. So he stops them because as the town apparently is the only police officer in town, he's going to spend his evening at Jack's Christmas tree farm to make sure no one's going to come steal his trees.
steal the dead trees.
And so, I just wish these two would realize you're both adults. If you want to hook up. It's okay. Like, everybody in town is like, hey, Jack, fresh blood. She's at the inn. She's here for you. Hook up. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I better put some whipped cream on my face.
100 years. This whole time's dependent on me.
Christmas is coming. I don't have time. So, end scene.
Yes.
Next day, the entire town is at the inn. Olivia wakes up and literally all 27 residents of Avon are downstairs. And she
Santa's there! Santa!
Oh
Santa's there, Oz.
It's Santa Claus. Where's Jack? And
He's not there.
Is that his
or
sister?
Is he?
Is it his sister that runs the inn?
I think so. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, his ginger-haired sister that's like, I don't know, look around. So she looks at Santa, and guess what? It's Jack.
It's Jack Santa, and he is so great with the kids. Oh, he's so great.
He reaches up, touches his nose, lets her know, hey, it's me. Dude dyed his eyebrows for that. I looked when they were zoomed in. His eyebrows were silver. Like, good for you, man. Like, no wonder she didn't recognize it. I didn't recognize it was Jack right away because everything in this.
He wasn't wearing a puffy vest.
It's true. I couldn't see his well manicured facial hair. And plus, when you only give us enough time to look at something, like, I feel like whoever edited this movie probably edited the Jason Bourne movies because we are just jump cut, all day long. Like, so if I blinked, I would have missed it. But he dyed his eyebrows. Cut to, okay, he's out of his Santa garb, his eyebrow, and he's got his puffy vest and flannel shirt back on.
She's got to get back to the lab, like the lab, not the mobile lab.
Right, and the hour away lab.
Yes.
I gotta go, Jack.
I'm tired. She yawns, and he's like, right. "Oh, I'll drive you."
Right, and it was such a. I gotta head back to the lab.
Oh, you're tired. You shouldn't make that hour-long drive.
Let me take you.
Oh,
and, okay. And so they spend a total of 3 minutes at the highly detailed lab apartment lobby. Yes. They're there long enough for her to sit behind a
I think they just shuffled some things around in a sharper image.
Right. They're walking through them all 10 minutes before close and hit their scenes. So.
Thought I saw an Orange Julius cup on the side.
Well, they were there long enough for her to find her boxes and boxes of wedding mistletoe. She thought
because this weekend was when the wedding was supposed to be.
Yeah. And so it was like, oh, idea, I know. There's another party coming up, the craft fair back in Avon. Let's sell these at your craft fair, and we'll donate the money to charity. So guess what? Olivia has a reason to go back to Avon. She had a reason anyway. Her car's still there.
Yep.
Like,
and her stuff.
Right. Well, that's all in her briefcase.
Her science briefcase.
What? Okay, just dawned on me. She ends up spending, 2.5 days in Avon? Something like that,
It felt like eternity.
But she was planning on just being there. Like, just to do that job, get a sample, and head back.
She's going to see it through to the end, Oz.
Where does she get all of her clothes? It just dawned on me. Where did all these change of clothes come from?
She's a scientist. She scienced them up.
That's true. She just goes out and,
just a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and here's my red evening dress.
Mix a little evergreen and a little bit of this, and
a little sage, and voila. Right. Here's an outfit.
Yeah. So we don't see the we wouldn't have seen the shopping scenes because Jack would have been with her. So
because they're always together.
Blah blah blah. They go back to Avon, Avon, Connecticut has now taken over Whoville as the village that enjoys Christmas more than anybody.
Yep. They're back at the mill.
Right.
And there's a gingerbread contest.
Gingerbread contest. Guess who doesn't know how to bake? Jack and Olivia. These two are going to have to. They don't know. They're going
to have to learn together.
Right. So let's go back in the kitchen and we'll whip something up. It just bang, bang, bang. This movie just doesn't stop, which is fine. Like it doesn't give you time. You and I are jerks. We're movie jerks. I know I'm a movie snob. I'm aware of it. At the same time, being a movie snob, I will tell you that UHF is an amazing movie. I'm a huge fan of trauma films. Like, I have no reason to call myself a movie snob because of some of the just drivel that I choose to watch on my own time. Like, I love watching Mystery Science Theater 3000, despite the fact that they are terrible movies. But as a movie jerk, I have a tendency, and I think you might too, of we think too much about what we're watching. And movies like this, you're not supposed to think too much. You're supposed to sit back and let them happen, and don't question where all her outfits come from.
No,
and don't question.
You're supposed to feel the movie. You're not supposed to think it.
So I did. I tried hard to take off my movie jerk hat and just let this movie happen. I didn't turn to Jenny half a dozen times ripping on the movie, although she and I are pretty similar in this, that we watched it. She was interested. She watched it. She had fun with it like I did. But, I mean, she's tearing it apart at every turn, too. She's looking like, this farm's been around 100 years? I haven't known it. And, like, she's on top of it, which is reason 9,074,000 why I love my wife so much is we could do this together, which is great. But yeah, you definitely let this movie just happen. Yeah. It's an hour and 24 minutes. You let the people do what they got to do. You feel good about it at the end, even though you know at the beginning how it's going to end up. Jenny joked at one point that, when we'll get to the scene here when they were doing like the gift exchange, but she goes, boy, this movie would take a turn for the worse if Mom had a heart attack right now. Like, I wouldn't have seen that coming, but, it's very cookie cutter, and that's okay.
Mom takes a tumble down the stairs.
Right. She bites it, and, and Olivia's like, I'm a tree doctor, I'm not a real doctor, and so...
Somebody dig up her root bulb.
So yeah, Jack and Olivia, they team up to make some gingerbread things.
It's cute.
Yeah.
And adorable.
But it's also a heavy conversation that if we can't get this figured out, your Christmas tree may be closed forever, ever. And so she's talked to him. This is the first time she brings up the diversifying.
Yes.
Yeah. And so go for it.
So yeah, she brings up, well, you could grow other things. The soil here is very fertile. You could grow shrubs, you could grow flowers, you could grow other types of plants and horticulture, and sell things year round. And he's like, whoa, it's if you try to do too many things, you're bad at them. You got to be an expert at one thing,
right?
One thing, and I am an expert at Christmas trees,
and not making a move on a woman who's clearly interested in me. That's what I'm not. That's what I'm not at.
Christmas trees.
So Olivia's a tree doctor. She's a financial strategist. Like, she's got this down. And she's right. Like, she makes a comment about, I don't remember the type of flower, hydrangea or something like that. She makes the comment about it. And his comeback is, Christmas trees bring joy to people. Like, none of those things bring joy. Only Christmas trees. And she's well, hydrangeas bring some people joy. And then he never gets her flowers. So she decides, for the 15th time in our movie, I should be doing my job, but Avon has so much to do.
So they're back at the barn, and they're decorating for the big craft fair.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, and this is a very small barn to hold an entire fair in. Like, she comes in one side of the barn, and he's hanging a sign on the other side, and you could see both walls. Our craft fair consists of a table that we're going to sell your mistletoe balls.
So they wrap some empty boxes as decorations, and they laugh together.
Yeah. And she doesn't understand.
How they laugh. Why do you wrap empty boxes? Yeah. But then the mayor shows up. And the mayor's like, Jack, we got to get that tree. That big tree for the town square.
What was his name? Was it Mayor Diversity? Is that what his name was?
I think it was Mayor not white guy.
Yeah, Mayor Diversity. I think they called him. Because he's the only non-white. No. Her lab assistant back in her lab. She was a woman of color.
That's in the big city though.
That's a different town. Yeah. This is Avon. This is an hour down the road. So we have two.
It's pretty stereotypical Connecticut.
Yeah, we have two people of color in the entire movie.
So the mayor's here, and Jack, we got to get that big tree. The town's counting on you. For the past 100 years, your family has provided this big tree.
Yeah.
So it's like,
we're gonna have to go with Dwayne.
Dwayne's got this tree. He's all ready to go. And Jack's like, give me 3 days. Give me 3 days, Mayor.
Because
I'll have it for you.
Mayor, my Christmas tree farm is 100 years old. You're right, Jack. 3 days. like that's his go-to. It's just like.
But he's on the clock. Right. So now there's some urgency there.
I would have loved to see. It would have been classic if they would have recreated that like thinking woman's meme where there's like all the equations and chemistry beakers and stuff, and she's looking. If they would have recreated all of that scene while she's trying to do the science, because she's awaiting lab results. That's what they're doing. Remember, Jack is super stressed out because his farm's about to go under, yet he has time for 15 parties in 2 days. He's the town Santa. Like, Jack does it all. And Olivia's waiting lab results.
Which I think was the working title of the movie, Awaiting Lab Results.
Awaiting lab results. So, but she's worried. She's just being she's a good physician. I'm worried. I don't know how to save the trees. Well, Jack reassures her, I believe in you. That's all she needs.
You know what we need? We need to do, and I'm quoting the movie here, a full genetic sequence of a tree's DNA.
Yes, you are quoting the movie.
Science to the rescue. We need to take a tree's full genetic DNA sequence. But that'll take a couple of weeks. We don't have that kind of time, Oz. We're on the clock here.
Well, luckily, with the trees out of the way, Jack now has room for love. So, so they go out for a walk in the woods. Because now, she has the idea. Why it matters, it doesn't. But she has the idea, hey, we should move the craft fair outside of the barn.
Outside of this 10 by 14 room.
We should just move it outside. And don't know why I didn't think of that. I'll get my mom on it.
Yeah.
So it's mommy.
So mom's taking care of it.
Right.
In the meantime,
mom's all for this romance.
Oh, she is. Yeah, she's all about it. The sister is noticing things. For the first time in years, you might have a chance at love.
Right.
People are dropping hints to Jack.
So, Olivia's got this idea. I know. How about a long dissolved medical formula that I'm going to create myself in the next 4 minutes, and it's going to save your trees.
In my hotel room.
Right. In my mobile lab.
And Oz, what inspired this idea? Do you recall the moment that inspired this?
Well, no. She had this idea, and they tried it, and it worked. But then the trees died a little bit later. Right? Because then they go for a walk in the woods. Well, they're standing outside talking about, this was going to work, because it did work, because they ran it in the tree inside, and it worked, and then it quit working, because they drop it in, it looked like an Alka-Seltzer commercial.
Yes.
So they're standing outside, and they're talking, and Captain Silver Fox comes up to Mom, and he hits on her, and she shoots him down because I just can't. I can't. I was married, and my only love, etc., etc. And she plays hard to get for all of 7 seconds before this minx gives in and holds hands with this new gentleman. So, Jack and Olivia, Jack, who has never seen a person hold hands with another human before, watches his mom walk off holding hands and decides, I'm going to try this. So they go out walking in the woods, and Jack is like, I'm sorry, my hands are sappy, like the movie. I got an idea.
I needed something to bond the nutrients, and
that's the verb. Bond.
Sap is sticky.
Right. I know what I'm going to do. We're going to take my Alka-Seltzer and we're going to bond it with the sap, and it's going to stay there, and we're going to save Christmas trees.
She got the idea from a bag of lozenges, by the way.
Yeah. Yes. Because they're time release formula. So
plans coming together, Roz. They have a chance to save these cut trees.
So the next day, Jack, Olivia, Mom, her new boyfriend, who apparently she stayed the night with after playing hard to get.
I know, right?
and the owners of the cider mill come over to stare at the Christmas tree to see if it's gonna die. But while they're like, hey, keep an eye on the tree. Oh, okay. And then Mom's like, this is a bunch of baloney. We need to have another party. So.
Jack's mom at one point, I have a quote here. She literally says, well, it really seems like a lot of waiting around. And to me, that summarized the entire movie. Because even though it's so fast-paced, you're always waiting on results.
Yeah. Because we know, exactly.
And you're killing time.
Yeah,
also a working title for the movie.
Killing time. We're waiting for these two to get together, or we're waiting for them to fix the tree, and it's just like, come on. But all we do is fill it with parties.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it's like every thematic Christmas type party possible. gingerbread decorating. We're going to see Santa. We're going to have a gift exchange. We're
Craft
going to
fair.
have craft fair. Like everything that you could squeeze into a holiday season.
It's all there. They do it all. No one has real jobs.
So Mom has an idea. Let's have a gift exchange.
Yes.
A whole white elephant gift exchange. So Jack and Olivia go gift shopping in the same closet because this gift shop is tiny. There's like 4 gifts to choose from, and there's only 6 people. Only 6 people at this gift exchange. It somehow stretches out over like an entire afternoon for 6 people to swap 6 gifts. And what did Jack and Olivia get?
They got the same tree, or the same book about a tree.
The history of Christmas trees.
History of the Christmas trees, yes.
Yeah. Which is probably just Jack's family's biography, because there was no Christmas tree before the Connors.
So it's a history of the past 100 years.
Right. So, more and more tree puns, and that's okay. And Jack's it actually pretty insightful here. Olivia is telling Jack's mom, they've bonded a little bit. And she's telling her mom, my Christmases lack this. My Christmases with my family lack this. And Olivia's blaming her parents. And Jack's mom, well, have you told your parents? Well, no. I put him on. So basically, Jack's mom blames Olivia for her own crappy Christmases. Like, well, what did you expect your parents to do? Know how to, you're like, well, they are human beings, and, they set an example for their daughter. I mean, I don't tell my mom how I want her to do Christmas. It's up to her. But yeah, Jack's mom just takes a pot shot at Olivia. Well, your crappy Christmases are your fault. So luckily, Olivia's tree medicine works. Business is booming again. Everybody apparently has just been going without Christmas trees because we're not buying from Dwayne. Jack delivers his tree to the town, tells Olivia, you saved Christmas. So Olivia's like, well, I better go then. See you, Jack.
We've solved every problem. We'll figure this out because something's wrong with the tree.
Well, not yet. See, Jack tells Olivia how he feels. And Olivia acts like she's never talked to a boy before. And then they have what might be one of the most awkward kisses I've ever seen on film. Their first kiss in this movie, he looks like he sprung it on her. Like she didn't know it was coming. Even Jenny's like, well, that was awkward. Like she just kisses just his bottom lip with her. It was just weird. And it's like, you got your first kiss when you were like 10 years old, Danica McKellar. Like you've been kissing Kevin Arnold for the entire run of that show. We've watched you kiss on television before. You know how to do it. You're a grown woman now, and you got a hunky man. He's no, he's no Kevin Arnold.
He's no Fred Savage.
He's no Fred Savage, but yeah. So it's like, oh, it's just awkward to watch. So, and then now the tree starts dying again.
Yes. And so it's the next day. The tree's dying. Dwayne shows up. Oh, that Dwayne, and he's gloating.
Yeah.
Oh, and as the tree is dying, so is their love, Oz.
Oh, yeah. Because, like we established earlier, Jack is the human embodiment of the Christmas trees. If they die, if they have no life and passion, then he has no life and passion.
Because she brings up alternative crops again, and he gets mad. Christmas is all I care about.
Right.
You can't change me.
Right. But at the same time, you need to start, if you would, something along the lines of you need to tell your parents what you think, and you should have told your ex-fiance what you thought. And she just throws it right back at him. I just told you what I thought, and you keep pushing it away. So I guess I'm going to force myself to cry a couple tears, and off I go.
Yep, just like that.
Until that stupid roundabout. She still hasn't figured it out. She can't get away that easy. And then, and in the meantime, she's told her parents. She did another video chat with her parents and told her mom, who we've only seen up to this point, told her mom what she thinks about, I don't want to do that. That's always been about you and about how we look, and I don't want that anymore.
So she's come clean with mom.
Yep, come clean with mom. Dad walks in, who looks like a Fred Rogers knockoff. He comes walking in, almost like, oh, we have a daughter? Oh, hey, honey. Like,
and where's this guy been the whole movie?
I don't know, but I love that, he steps into view, And then she cuts off. she like
bails
on him.
I gotta go.
So
I gotta do science things. Sorry, Dad.
And so as she's trying to get out of Avon on the roundabout, she sees her parents are also on the roundabout. They've decided to come to Avon. We don't know where they're from. We know that she was supposed to go home for Christmas, so we don't know where home is. But we know that she's an hour from Avon where she works, so who knows where her parents are from. But they show up and they're in the same roundabout at the exact same time. Neither one of them can figure out how it works because apparently there's no roundabouts in the town they're in.
Nope, just Avon.
And so they go have some hot cocoa. So she doesn't actually leave town yet. She and her parents show up. It's a nice, it's like she made a comment earlier about wrapping an empty box and delivering that. Like, what's the point? Her parents showing up was a nice way to wrap this empty box of a movie. And like, okay, everybody who cares about everybody else is now in the same town. Got it. Because the only two people that existed in this movie outside of Avon were her parents. And now her parents are there. So, so Jack's mom is now pressing him. Hey, why'd Olivia leave? Well, she encourages him to be open to change. And he admits, okay, yeah, you're right. So the potential love of his life on a couple of different times have been saying, hey, as a nature doctor, as an agricultural scientist, this soil is so much better. And he's like, you shut your mouth, woman. But as soon as mom comes in. You need to
let things grow.
Yeah. As soon as mom comes in, hey, Jack, honey. Yeah, she was right. Okay, mom. All right. Oh, by the way, Jack's 27 years old. He mentions that earlier. He's 27 because all the ornaments on his Christmas tree have a story, including this one. This was from when I was born 27 years ago.
Although, as he said that, I felt like there was kind of a wink in there.
I hope so, because it seemed fairly deadpan delivery, but the actor's almost 50. Yeah. And he's like, I'm 27. And I was like, I was waiting even for just like one line of them to each other to be like, yeah, right. Or something. But no, like they just let it play off that, yes, you're supposed to believe that this guy's 27 years old. So everybody's back together now. Mom encourages them to be open. Olivia struggles with the roundabout. Her parents get together. Everybody's still in Avon. And now the jig is up.
Olivia runs into some workers from Dwayne's farm as they're leaving this coffee shop, and she sees herbicide in the back of their truck. So she gets to thinking, the other trees were fine, but that one tree in the square was dying, despite the fact that we were treating it the same way as the other trees. This herbicide might mean something.
Yeah, these two guys aren't really saying anything to each other, but they're saying enough nothing for her to be like, wait a minute. I'm also a master detective. I forgot. This is one of my other talents. And quite possibly the best acting Danica McKellar did this entire movie was in this scene where she's pretending to be like, oh yeah, Dwayne's the best and Jack's the worst. And hey, let's get a selfie with these two henchmen. And they're like, oh, okay.
Alrighty, okay.
Oh, hey, cute girl, what's a picture of me? I ain't saying no.
Like the extras from Roadhouse.
Right, that's what they were. And so, and they're wearing flannel, of course, because they're in Connecticut. And bright, clear as day picture of this, this herb poison. And so, we wrap this all up nice and easy. So, where am I at in my notes here? Yep.
So they're back of the square. Yep. They call out Dwayne. He kind of throws a fit, and then he was like, "Yeah, you got me."
Yeah, and apparently gets arrested.
Hot cop takes him away.
Yeah, I want to take you. I'm going to take you down to the station
for some questions.
Book him, Dano.
Takes him down to his toy jail.
Right. It's like. So Olivia and Jack find themselves together again by the tree, where the center of their love is.
Yes, Olivia, I was wrong about my parents. I was wrong about a lot of things. I thought Christmas was the only thing you cared about. It wasn't until I met you.
Right. Her parents show up at the tree decorating. They want to check it out. So Jack and Olivia, because we're near the end of our film here. Jack and Olivia, they make up in record time. They start making out. A TV crew is on hand to watch the tree lighting, but the camera's pointing at the people, not at the tree.
And we're here for the lighting.
And then boom, credits end. They kiss. And it's just the most sudden out of nowhere ending, and cut. Almost like, what were you expecting, people? We cut you out of every scene in this movie, so cut. So movie's over. Credits start rolling up,
and there's a white guy jazz version of "Oh Christmas Trees" playing, and
that's it. That is you, me, and the Christmas trees. Oh man, this movie was a lot of fun. It was. In a much different way than John Carpenter Month was fun.
Yes. This was, in its own bizarre way, a fun watch.
It really was.
I believe that it got the point across to the type of viewer that this movie would attract. It was cutesy. It didn't get bogged down in little things like plot or acting.
right. It's like, look, there's a romance at the end of this trail. We're going to get you there. Just wait. And people are like, okay, as they curl up on their couches, and they've got the giant mugs that they hold with two hands. And, it's like, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. So they don't make these movies for everybody, but the people that they make them for know that they're for them.
Yeah.
All right. How would you rate this, Curtis?
Let's see. In our ratings, this one, I went on the brown needle scale. This one gets...
fair enough.
18.5 brown pine needles from me. That's my 18.5 brown pine needles.
All right, I'm gonna have my work cut out for it. Well, knowing that I try to add a little in our YouTube videos, I try to add a little graphics on this. So I have to find brown pine needles. I would say this movie is definitely worth. If there were 5 holiday parties, I would attend 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I would attend 3 of the holiday parties in this movie. That's the rating I give it. 3 holiday parties out of 5.
3 holiday parties.
Yeah.
All right. Now it's time for our big closing segment, the 3-2-1, where we each present 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 huhs regarding the film. Oz, why don't you go first? What are your 3 goods?
All right, I'll keep it kind of short. I feel my 3 goods. First one, I really like that they gave Olivia a career and a purpose outside of finding love. She's worked hard at her career. She's gotten her education. She's a dedicated herbologist or whatever, Christmas tree whisperer, whatever her job title is. But that's what she does. That's her passion. And I was really glad to see the screenwriters and directors or whatever, that she's not this damsel in distress that needs saved. Like, she's a standalone person outside of this romance. And even for the majority of this romance, that's all she wanted to do was work. He kept dragging her away at all these other things. So that's my first good, is that they respected women enough in this movie. And I think that's important because knowing that the target demographic is women, I think it's good that the message they're sending is, hey, you're worthy of a career as well.
Yes. She has agency.
Yes, so her having that agency and career was my first good. My second good, Avon loves to party. I love the parties. Santa party.
It'd be a great town to hang around in the holidays.
No kidding. Santa party, cider party, craft fair, Christmas tree lighting, gift exchange, hot chocolate party, all in a window of 2.5 days. That's 5 or 6 parties in 2.5 days. It's great. And my third one is that the movie just keeps moving along at a clip. If you get hung up trying to find things wrong with this movie, you're not the intended audience. I'm not the intended audience, but I knew what I was watching this for, so I tried my best to release it. Yes, I understand at the beginning of the movie, Jack's talking about Christmas is 1 week away, and then by the end of the movie, Olivia's only been there 2.5 days, yet we're now at Christmas. So, it's just whatever. But this movie moves at a good clip. So those are my 3 goods. How about you?
My 3 goods. The first one is just a little foreshadowing, like they're just dropping nuggets, whether it be, the quick banter after they had the rear end in the roundabout, or
Yeah.
or the just the little things about like, oh, like the only thing I love is Christmas trees, like, I never had time for anybody else.
Right.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I just love science, I don't have time for anybody else like science. And it escalates into these like little looks they give each other.
Right.
It's like, oh, the foreshadowing, because you don't know how the movie's going to end, of course. So foreshadowing is my first good. My second is their wardrobe. Oh, these people are well dressed. Everyone in the movie is just.
Well, they're in Connecticut.
Yes, they're just beautiful flannels and puffy vests, and he has just the right puffy vest for every occasion. And
Right.
and as we kind of mentioned before, like, where's she getting her clothes from? Like at no point do they show that she stopped at home or she ran to the store or
Right.
anything, but she's got something for the occasion. They all look marvelous. So
They do.
So it's Christmas time in Connecticut. You got to dress your best. And the last is, and I'm kind of playing and having fun with the genre a little bit. Just like, again, as we've mentioned before, like, the quick cuts from scene to scene and scene. They don't waste a lot of time, but between a couple of them, they have these drone establishing shots just to like capture the landscape.
Yeah.
So it's like, the drone hovering up, and you see these snowy vistas over these beautiful farmlands and trees, and the snow is hit just right. And so there's got to be a guy who makes a living just taking like drone establishing shots. Like, oh, it's a fresh snow. Get the drone out, honey.
Oh yeah,
I gotta sell this to Hallmark. So those were my three goods. Oz, what are your two bads?
All right, my two bads, and this is being a little nitpicky. I feel like it's always... I don't know why I preface this, because of course it's being nitpicky, it's bad. But this could have been, instead of an essay, this could have been a pamphlet. If Jack would have just left her alone to do the job he hired her to do, this movie would have no runtime. She'd come in, she'd do her scientific work on the tree, and then she would settle it up and go. It's like... If she was a less attractive person, to where Jack wasn't, he wasn't like physically interested in her, then she's going to settle down and she's going to do her job and she's going to move on and Christmas is saved and the outcome is the same for Jack, not necessarily for the romance. But yeah, for someone as serious about his 100-year tree farm, he should have just let this tree doctor do her job. Like, leave her alone. That's what she's there for. And my second bad is, come on, it's 2021. Climate change is a thing. We're dealing with the environment, whatever. How many Christmas trees had to die for this movie to be made? Yeah. Like, there are, just an extravagant number of Christmas trees. But a lot of them that they're dealing with were dead trees. So I'm wondering if Hallmark actually cares about the environment.
Well, all that paper goes into their cards.
Right. Oh, you make a valid point. That's what they did. I see this, how this works. We're going to cut these trees down, but before we put them into pulp and make them into cards, we're going to use them on the set of our new film, You Me and the Christmas Trees. So those are my two bads.
You get the most bang for your buck there. So
the movie's going to pay for itself.
Exactly. There you go. So my two bads. The first is the how Olivia's mom and her interact on FaceTime. Oh my God, it is so awkward.
Oh yes.
Again, as we mentioned before, you see the wider shot of Olivia talking into her phone, but with her mom, it's shot as if she's talking directly to the camera, so it looks like she's talking to you, the viewer, the whole time, and it's unsettling. Like, had they both done it that way, like had they shot them both that same way, that would have made sense. But
or even if they cut to cut back to Olivia watching her screen for a moment, and it's like just that we show Olivia. Like you said, we show Olivia, but we also show her phone or her laptop in the same scene. She's looking at it, camera's looking overhead. But like you said, when we see mom, we only see mom. We don't see the device. And there's no cutting back to Olivia watching her mom.
No,
it's just mom.
You see her holding the phone, but it's the back of the phone, so you don't see the screen, and so there's no way for the viewer to kind of tell what's what. And it's so weird, and it's so awkward, and it's just her like talking directly into the camera.
Yeah, we're all invited to Olivia's mom's for Christmas. That's how I feel.
My other bad is the villain, Jason Hervey's character, Dwayne, was on screen for all of 2 minutes. They clearly shot everything in one day. It was 2 scenes he was in. The first scene was what, like 30 seconds or so.
Yeah.
And so
I have a Christmas tree farm in Slimy.
And so, I mean, clearly the movie is not about him. You don't really need like an antagonist. But they shoved the character in there just, I don't know why, just so they could have D-lister Jason Hervey and his terrible hair dye job. But it's just, I don't know. Like, you could have had that work without the evil tree farmer.
Oh, absolutely.
Without Jason Hervey.
Oh, even if Olivia just, yeah, exactly, cut out that last scene, because nobody left Avon anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She threatened to leave and then ran into her parents and stayed. So, I mean, there was really, I'm with you. There was no reason for it.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that her mom was the antagonist.
Yeah. Yeah, easily. Yeah, or just human beings in general, because these two just they only love trees.
But yeah, you didn't need Jason Hervey, and it felt very forced.
Right.
All right, Oz, what's your one for You, Me, and the Christmas Trees?
Speaking of Dwayne and Jason Hervey, okay, so we've seen multiple parties in Avon, and they're all like all the town's buzzing about. Everybody's there. At the end, we get this like backing out establishing shot. You know, people are standing around the tree, and this is like the town's thing. Like, this is the culminating event before Christmas. We've had all of our parties, and now we're going to light the tree. We've done it this way for 100 years because Coopers, this is what we do. There's like 25 people there. So the whole town of Avon consists of 25 people. And they have a Christmas tree farm. Fine, people could come from out of town. They have an inn. They've got a cider mill. But what gets me is the entire town shows up to every party. And there's only like 25 people.
They have 2 Christmas tree farms.
Exactly, that was it. Yet there's 2 Christmas tree farms. How does Jack even have enough business selling to 12 homes? So I can understand Jack not wanting to diversify. There's not enough people in this town to buy all my pumpkins. There's no way I could grow these flowers. Like, it's just not cost effective. But yeah, that was my big Like, it seems like there's two dozen people that live in town. One person of color. They've elected him mayor.
Yes.
Like, which it's impressive. Like, yeah. Hey, they embrace diversity. Diversity just doesn't come to Avon.
No. And when it does, we elect a mayor. My is 12 hours after they meet. You know, it's the next day. Mm-hmm. After they kind of open things up, and they're at the cocktail contest. All he's doing is talking to her, like they've known each other for all of 12 hours. He's ignoring everyone else, and he's drug her along to this thing that she clearly, at least initially, has no interest in participating in. But it's like the two of them exist and no one else is there. Like, it's, and again, I get that that's how these movies are supposed to feel. But
right.
Again, if you were to inject just a little bit of reality to it, like, wouldn't it seem just a little weird how, like, I hired you for this job to look at my, to help me save my business and help my dying trees. Let's go to this cider contest.
Yeah.
And hang out and talk to each other all day.
Right. Yeah. Instead of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. She should have ran.
Yes.
Even an hour is not that far away of a drive. Like, even if you had to walk, I understand that he totaled your car when he ran into you by knocking your muffler off. But you should have run. You should have figured out a way to get out of there. We know you can talk because you've called your mom multiple times while you're there. So it's like you had an avenue to, hey, could somebody come get me? This place is creepy.
As if you were to edit this movie a slightly different way and just add in a couple of different musical cues, this could easily turn into a horror movie.
Oh, I was thinking this is Children of the Corn. There's one bachelor in Avon, and his name is Jack.
And you have this outsider, and you're kind of right. You're world building Avon through her eyes.
Yeah, and everybody must keep Olivia in Avon. We must sacrifice Olivia to Jack.
He's the Wicker Man.
Right. It is. This easily could be. It could be a horror film, like you said. Lay in a different soundtrack, and maybe not some of the goofiness on his. Well, who cares? Keep the goofiness, you know. But yeah, you lay in more of a horror film soundtrack and fade out of a couple scenes instead of cut to commercial, or maybe give her a little more skeptical look on her face. But yeah, you've got a straight horror film here because he's creepy.
He's good looking. He's charming.
And we're
too good to be true.
Oh yeah,
seriously.
Yeah, we're saved from a horror film because it's established early on that everyone else in town is talking about the fact that Olivia is there. So everybody in town is on board with Jack devoting every waking moment to this woman. Like they're okay with it because Jack needs a woman. He needs somebody. We're tired of catching him out in the woods with his trees.
Well, that was you, me, and the Christmas trees.
Yeah. We're going to do this again next week.
Oh, yeah.
This is fun. What are we watching next week?
Next week, we are watching kind of Netflix's big foray into their Hallmark-esque holiday movies. We're gonna go with 2017's A Christmas Prince.
Oh, A Christmas Prince.
We're going to go with The Christmas Prince. And an introduction to, I give all the credit to you, Oz, to the NCU, the Netflix Christmas universe. Because apparently Netflix Christmas movies have a shared universe together. So next week, we will explore A Christmas Prince.
'Tis the season. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to A Christmas Prince.
Yeah, that will be next week's entry. Oz, where can our listeners find us?
All right. Aside from catching us on YouTube, if you're watching this, thank you. Hit subscribe, like, all that other stuff. Turn on comments to make sure you get all the notifications. Turn on. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Hit the buttons right below this video, and so that you get all your notifications. If you're more of a listener, you can catch us on our website, which I don't even know what it is. It's one of those big long ones. But you can also catch us more realistically on any of your favorite podcast apps. Apple Music, Stitcher, you name it, they're out there. There's so many of them. You can also catch us on our Facebook group. Let's Talk About Flicks. We've got a Twitter handle. We're on Instagram. You know, we're all over the place. So
we're everywhere.
We're everywhere. Watch out. We might be behind you. You know, we're on Patreon if you feel like you want to help us out and donate. If you do listen to us, please give us a comment. Not only rate us on your podcast app, give us a rate, leave a comment, leave a review. All that helps us out tremendously. You know, we're still in the infancy of this thing. I'm having a lot of fun, and you know, I'm really looking forward to Christmas Prince next week. You know, I'll get my cup of hot cocoa ready and curl up under my heated blanket. Hopefully it snows.
I'll get my weighted blanket just to help me manage the anxiety.
Oh, I've got two of those. Jenny and I each have one. We sleep under them.
Will she end up with the Christmas Prince?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't even read your notes before. I think I'm going to go in blind on this one. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you join us again next week. And signing off for Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we will catch you next week. Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care.